We're cooking smoked chuck roast sandwiches today. Stick around. This pulled beef is going to be off the charts. All right, guys, the first thing that we want to do for our pulled beef sandwich, we've got our chuck roast out of the pack, and when we cut them out, you can see they're into two smaller portions. Now, this pack was about 3.5 pounds total, so we've got these chuck roasts that weigh about 1.75 pounds a piece, basically. So that shouldn't take that long to cook. I'm going to go about 1.5 hours on my Traeger at 275 once I get them seasoned up with some beef rub here. And I'm going to let them go till the bark sticks good, and then we're going to get them in some braising liquid and let them get tender. Now you want to be sure to season all sides of your chuck roast here. And you can get a big one and cut it in half. It just kind of depends on how much time you got on the grill. I'm glad this was in a smaller sections. If you had a big chuck roast, there's nothing wrong with that, but you just know it's going to take longer for it to cook and get tender. All right, guys, the first thing that we want to do, we've got our chuck roast seasoned down with the beef rub here. I'm going to get it on my Traeger Timberline 1300. I'm cooking with royal oak charcoal pellets today. I've got it running at 275 degrees. So let's get these chuck roast on so they can start smoking. All right, guys, now that we have our chuck roast on our Traeger, I want to go ahead and take my 5.5 quart Dutch oven here, and you can see it's completely empty. The first thing I'm going to do is get in a full 32 ounces of beef broth here. Now, it may seem like a lot of liquid for braising. I mean, some people do, some people don't, but I want to make sure I have enough au jus for my sandwiches. You probably honestly go another 12 ounces and be fine too. Go up to 48 if you wanted to. Now, I also want to take some red cooking wine here, and I'm going to do about a cup of it. Now, one of the biggest factors, I think, of flavor to this dish is the W sauce. Burton's W sauce is America's Worcestershire sauce, and I'm going to tell you, I absolutely love this stuff. We use it as a marinade, as a binder sometimes, as a lot. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of it in. If you like a little more stronger taste, you can always add a little more. So I better add a little more. Wash my cup out there. So once you get your Worcestershire in there, move that out of the way. I'm going to take my little pig whisk and kind of stir that up. Now, I have 1 whole red onion, 5 celery stalks chopped up, about a dozen cloves of garlic, and 4 carrots peeled and chopped up. Now, this is going to make a great braising liquid, and I've got 1/2 stick of butter quartered. I'm just going to get it in here in my pot. Yeah, put some butter in there. And I'm going to take a little bit more beef rub. Come back on that. Now, while those chuck roasts are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and set this pot on the grill to let this liquid be coming up to temp 2 and this cast iron pot. And when the rub gets stuck to those chuck roasts really good, about 150, 160 degrees, we're going to stick it in this pot, cut the lid on it, or put the lid on it, braise it, get it fork tender, and we're going to make some awesome sandwiches. All right, guys, we've got our smoked chuck roast. It's been on for almost 2 hours at 275 degrees. It is hitting 155, 160. You can see in here that our carrots, onions, celery, beef broth, Worcestershire is coming good. Look at this right here. That right there is what you're looking for. Good color. Now let's go ahead and get it in here. Now we want our beef to braise. I'm gonna kind of mash it down in there. I'm gonna get this lid on the pot, I'm gonna turn the grill up to 350 and let it go. It's probably gonna take somewhere around a couple hours to be fork tender. All right guys, our chuck roast has been braising in our liquid for about 4 hours for our pulled beef sandwiches. Just about 10 minutes ago, I raised my grill lid, peeked on it, and I also threw on some rolls. So I've got some ciabatta style French bread here, and I put a little bit of butter on and sprinkled a little garlic butter rub on. I've toasted them up. I'm gonna remove them and put them to the side. Hey guys, we're back. We've got our chuck roast off the grill. We've let it cool for about 20 minutes and you can see it's still steaming hot. I'm gonna get my lid off, get the chuck roast transferred over here to this aluminum pan, and I'm gonna shred the meat up a little bit. Now you can see that I've just got 2 big serving forks. I'm gonna go in here and start shredding it. All right guys, you can see I've got my shredded beef all done up, but here's the problem. I'm not a fat eater. There's some pieces of fat in here, so you wanna be sure you remove that. Be sure to get your meat off of it. I might even put on some gloves and go through it and make sure it's good and shredded here and get some out. We're gonna do that while it cools down and we'll be right back. All right guys, we're back. I've disregarded any of the muscle fat or anything that I found in there. I got it out and chunked it to the side. I've got my beef shredded. First thing I'm gonna do is take my ladle here and go in this stock, and I'm gonna get just a little bit of stock and drizzle over everything. Now, because I want this beef kind of really moist. But now to amp up the flavor a little bit, I'm a barbecue guy. I'm only gonna take and maybe put a tablespoon or so, or 1 to 2 tablespoons, that is it. That's all the barbecue sauce I'm gonna put. I just want just a little bit of a different punch to that meat. Mix it around with that au jus, with that red wine and those onions and carrots and celery. And see, when you mix it with the au jus, it does not look like it's barbecue meat or anything like that. Now, when you get it all mixed up like that, you know it's about time to build some sandwiches. So I'm gonna get this to the side here. I'm gonna take my bread and I'm gonna lay it out. Now I'm gonna take some good provolone cheese. It's kind of thinly sliced. You know what, I guess I should have laid it on that. That's the bottom bun. Your bottom bun here. Now that we've got everything like that done, we're gonna take our tongs here, start getting some meat on. Now you pile it up with as much as you like. You can make this into sliders if you want, change the bread. It's completely up to you. There's a lot of people that get their feelings hurt over bread on the internet and toasted bread versus traditional non-toasted bread. Well, I'm here to tell you, do whatever the hell you want. It's your house, your food, your way. At least that's how I treat it at my house, right? Now I'm gonna get some more provolone on. Put another slice on top of each one. Get my top buns on. I'm gonna move these back over to my sheet pan. I'm gonna go back on the Traeger to melt this cheese for about 10 minutes. Now after that, you can pull it off. I've got friends that like these with some lettuce and tomato and mayo on them. You can dress them up however you want. I just don't load them up like that before I go to the grill. Now, let's get these back over the Traeger, get them nice and toasted and cheesy. All right guys, our sandwiches are off the grill. There's not but one thing that I'm gonna do to my sandwich. You can see here, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna get me a little bit of blue plate mayo down on that toasted garlic butter bread. And then I'm gonna take and reach in my pot here and I'm gonna get me some onions. and go on here. Put a little too many. There we go. Now, that's my sandwich. I'm about ready to try it. All right, before I cut into this thing and try it, I just want to recap. We took about a 3.5 pound chuck roast. It was already split. It was in 2 halves. We rubbed them down in beef rub, threw them on our Traeger grill at 275, let them go for about 2 hours. Right after we stuck the chuck roast on, we stuck on our carrots, celery, onion, and some garlic with some red wine and some beef stock, a little bit of butter and some seasoning. Real simple, let it heat up. The chuck roast got to about 155 degrees. We chunked it in here, put the lid on it, let it braise for another 2 hours. It turned out absolutely, it smells insane. We have nibbled on the meat and it's so good. We know that we toasted up this ciabatta bread here. Ciabatta French rolls, I think is what they're called. That's all we've seen at the local grocery store yesterday when we were shopping. I can't wait to get in here and try this. Let's cut it in half and try it. Now, one of the key things that amps this dish up has to be the W sauce. The flavor of it mixed in with the au jus and the red wine created an incredible braise on this chuck roast. Let's get in here and cut this thing. Oh yeah. Look at that. A little bit of mayo, a little bit of onions, beef, cheese. It's gonna be good. That's incredible. Let's go in that au jus. The peppery punch, the garlic flavor, the tad of barbecue sauce that we mixed in with that au jus and tossed that meat in, it's all just one big whirlwind of flavor in your mouth. This dish is incredible. If you like a good pulled beef sandwich, you're gonna love this one. Be sure to check us out next week. We're gonna feature a brand new recipe. You can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, and of course, YouTube. I'll see you next week.